Already started working. Oh, who was that? You have to confirm. Oh, okay. Does it mean I got selected? Oh no. Yes. It was not say that I got selected. It was the I got selected. Just say if I got selected. No, you didn't get selected. That's why you got first. I thought I'm just giving my commitment that if I get selected, I'll do.
So Rajiv joined করছে তো community school Rajiv join করছে yeah started yeah already Rajiv joining করছে and starts
so jago gang up kori একই দিন থাকবে না একই scattered so we can see the stream
তারাও আমি
Arena. Because okay, that's okay. I just crossed.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, Professor, you are.
Thank you. And is my slides visible?
Yeah, we can see your slides, Professor.
Can you see the slide? I have already shared the slide.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, lecturing, right?
Professor, are we audible to you right now? Oh no, he left. Oh, he left. Is it good? Not too much? Yeah, this is good. It was better without the light. Yeah, the weather demands.
But it's so sleepy. I sleep with the little sister. 1 and 10 p.m.
Oh, yeah. She said, oh, debate. The debate is on 25th, right? So groups and the question. Okay, so I know I had that in mind, but I thought that I would give you the details just right before the previous class. We get some time. Okay. Do you want the next class, the next discussion session about the debate? Okay. So we will spend Sunday's discussion hour explaining the debate steps. Shouldn't have to prepare them.
Then our last class will happen then, right?
Oh yeah, the last class you have the debate.
It's maybe 25th July.
So maybe perhaps we can go over the steps of the debate and the groups on Sunday.
Yeah.
I will try to divide the groups by this weekend. Sure. Professor, can you hear us? Are we audible to you?
Hello, Professor. Yeah, that's summer stakeholder diagrams.
If you want, I can share the slides.
Kind of pencil.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
you hear us?
yes, sir.
My apologies. I think you have to excuse the internet connectivity as well as the electricity connection. There was sudden electricity failure, and that's why I was disconnected. Now, am I audible and my slides are visible now?
Yes, you are audible, but your slides are a bit, oh, I think it's visible now. Yeah, it's visible now. Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you once again after post-lunch session, the most critical part to concentrate. However, we will be discussing on a very interesting topic. So far, after a long discussion on various aspects of policy implementation as well as the policy cycle process, we have already come to know that the most critical part in the policy cycle process is policy implementation. And when we talk about policy implementation, the policy implementation cannot happen just by in an isolation, because it is not an automated work. Definitely, there is man involved in it. There is man behind the implementation of the process. So the critical part of policy implementation, which and the engagement of the stakeholders, rather the people who are involved in it, plays a very critical role. And when we are discussing or start discussing on this a very important issue like stakeholders engagement, let's start with brainstorming on some of the critical questions that we may explore ourselves, and then try to understand why this particular arena, I mean, stakeholder, plays such a vital and a critical role in the policy implementation process. First of all, maybe we need to identify who are the stakeholders in the education, since we are dealing with education policy. Who are the stakeholders in the education policy making? And the second brainstorming question may be, what is stakeholders engagement? What sort of engagement or what sort of a role they play in policy implementation process? And last but not the least, another important question is, why is it important to involve stakeholders in policymaking process? Maybe we will try to find out through the discussion on these critical issues, how or why the stakeholder engagement is so critical, and why we need to identify those people who are whose involvement in the policy implementation or in the success of any policy implementation is so critical. Having said this, let's try to see. It's a very common definition. Just because we are dealing with an academic session, that's why I'd like to share with you this particular area. Well, then who are the stakeholders? They can be anyone actually who is involved in the welfare and success of school, because we have discussed earlier that in the education sector, the key players are like teacher, student, and the school. I mean, the environment where the teaching and learning takes place. So it's in case of your university, it's the university, which is a central nerve of education policy implementation in the university sector. So who is involved in the welfare and success of that school? So that is one party who just continually think how the school will improve. And school improvement may have many different ideas involved in it. It's about school enrollment. It's about school students' achievement. It's about how they will I mean, be better involved in the classroom, how they will be better taught by the teachers, how they will be given, necessary kind of support from the school so that the students can accelerate in their education process. Therefore, for the welfare of the school, the people who are involved, like administrators, whom you can just term as education managers, or in some of the cases you are familiar with district education officer, Upajala education officers, even the principal or the head teacher, or in your case the vice chancellor, the pro vice chancellor, and the deans. They are the they play, apart from being a from their academic role, they also play a different role in the school level. Another important group of people are like the teachers, because they also have got a stake to say, because they are either impacted by, or they have to have some say on their activity based on the policy which is imposed by the administrators. So they are another group of people. Even the school staffs, in your case, in your university, there are some other non-academic staffs who are involved in it, but they also play a very vital role to organize ourselves, to run the activity of the university in a very nice and lucid way. And that's why you can see that all the universities are not same. Why you are here in AUW? Because it offers the best kind of educational environment in the country, comparing with others. Here, not only the teachers, not only the administrators, but the staffs who are working in various departments of the institution, they also play a vital role, and their engagement, their involvement, their commitment to ensure the better service plays a very vital role. Students, as you have got your expectation. Why you are here? You expect that you will have the best kind of education from this institution, and you expect the best kind of a teaching learning facilities available in this institution. You expect that you will have groomed by the best kind of teachers, best kind of a professors all around the world, who will guide you, who will facilitate your education so that you can ultimately become a global citizen. So that's why the students plays a very important role. Parents, many a times we just forget that they play a very crucial role. You can remember that your parents' decision, any student's parents' decision, plays a vital role, because the parents expect that his or her uh, child will receive the best kind of treatment, best kind of education, best kind of educational facility from that institution. And to do that, the policy that has been taken, that must be actually in line with, or their understanding of it, their internalization of that particular policy, that is really be important for the future of their kids, is really very important. Otherwise, you will always see that they are just making many different questions. As an example, like I can just show you. You can see it in our newspaper, in the media. In many cases, the parents are concerned about their students or their kids' assessment system. Some of them say, "Oh, there is no examination now with the introduction of the new curriculum in place." But their understanding, therefore their awareness about this kind of a change plays a very vital role. If they do not feel confident, if they do not understand why that change has been made, and what sort of how the change will actually serve the purpose of their expectation. That is very important. And community members also play a very crucial role. And also the school board members, they play a very vital role. City councillors, state representative, like a member of the parliaments, the ministers, and the local councillors. In some of the cases, you may not find it very related in our country context. But the other day when I was discussing with you that many countries follows many different kind of administrative mechanism. In some of the cases, it is the centrally operated or centralized education system. And in some of the countries, it is central plus school authorities combined kind of activity. In some of the countries, like European countries, in many of the cases, like England, you will see the local education authorities there. So when any policy comes, it's not only the centrally driven, but even the local authority, they just try to understand it, and they just try to internalize it, and then they try to localize it, contextualize it, and then they introduce it in their local boards. So these city councillors actually refer to those group of people. And the state representative, definitely our member of the parliaments, and even the ministers who has got a say when any new kind of policy is introduced in any sector. And if the students, especially in the education of that locality, is impacted by that, they also come up with and their engagement, their ownership, their commitment to that policy actually is largely influencing factor to the success or the failure of that particular policy. Let's go I have just given some example so that you can see even the literature base, and I have shared with you some reading materials, and there are some other even if you go to the big book that I have shared with you, the public policy as well as the public policy implementation. Even in those books also you will find a separate chapter on stakeholder engagement and how they play a very crucial role in the policy implementations. Especially when in the first para, you can just see that it has just described that it is a stakeholder refers to maybe some individual as well as the groups or a kind of organization. They also play, there are different organizations which are also related to the education sector or implementation of educational policy. So their interest, if they find something which is going beyond their, interest, even the business group community, they have also got something to say. So it is involving a large community to the education sector, especially in the policy implementation process. And that's why Freeman has just described it like any group or individual who can affect or is affected by achievement of the organization objective. So two basic things that we may remember. Number one, whose decision will affect on the education system, they are critical, and who are affected, the teachers or the students, they will be affected because they will have to ultimately implement it. So these are the broadly two groups who are involved in this, who can be termed as stakeholders, different. Like that's why they have been divided under two groups. There are some internal groups and some external groups in the policy making process as well as in policy implementation process. For example, we can just say that the government organization, they are responsible for policy implementation. They are the internal group, the Ministry of Education, their administrators, even the head teachers, those who are involved from the system, they may be termed as an internal group who can be termed as internal group of stakeholder. And there is another group who are not directly involved in the process, but the industries, communities, that sort of a thing. They are, or the individuals to be affected by the government actions are regarded as a stakeholders. Let's see, but just to see you, or you, so that you can brainstorm. And in today's lecture, actually, I will not focus very much. I will focus on your understanding and your involvement with a particular homework. And that's why at the very beginning, I'm just flagging out some critical areas. So the stakeholders who are divided into two groups, as we can see, the internal groups are those who work within the school system on a daily basis and who largely control what goes on there. And they include school, staff, students, and even, I must say, even the policy makers, they are also involved in it. And there are some external stakeholders who are those outside the day-to-day, day-to-day work of the school. In that case, I have just done one mistake. In that case, the people who have got a strong interest for the starting from the policy making level to the interest of the education sector's development, they also play a very crucial role. As we have shared in last class, I think I have shared with you another picture which will help you to understand or to look at what are the critical. I think, can you remember this slide? We shared it in our last class. Yeah. So the school community. So the internal group can be in the middle, the principal, teachers, and the students. And the external group can be those who are outside that, on the periphery. They are like researchers. They will discuss whether the new policy is really working well or what else needs to be incorporated. The international organizations like UNESCO, UNICEF, UNFPA, they have got international agendas to be implemented. As we know that worldwide, there are international agendas. Earlier, it started with education for all. And then we have moved on and we asked for the inclusive education. Then we have moved again in the midterm, Millennium Development Goal. We pursued the quality education. And then we have moved forward with SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. What we have achieved, we need to sustain them, and we need to introduce such a system where the education will be in such a way groomed up so that the kids or all the future generation will be groomed up to become global citizen. So those sort of international agendas, they also look into whether the policy that government has taken, whether the policy in one education system has been taken, whether it is in line with the international agendas or the commitments that the governments worldwide has made. Even the media has got a role to play. I said even NGOs, you can see in our country also. There are many NGOs who are also working for the development of education. Some of our students, I saw that you attended one international conference organized by Froebel Academy. Can you remember?
Yes, sir. As professor.
They organized a discussion on how we will prepare the 21st century students or our future generation so that they cope up with the upcoming challenges and the future challenges, the unpredictable challenges. So even those NGOs, they are also providing support, and their involvement is also important, whether it is in line with the government policy, because they just cannot take any any activity which is not supporting the government's policy. So that's why their target is and they were discussing about the new curriculum, they also tried to make meaning out of it, how they can align with the target of the government. And that's why they invited people like some of our government people. One was Professor Gulam Farooq, who was our former Director General and now working as a member of Public Service Commission. And another one was me. So all of their questions were posed to us, but just to know what do we mean by the new kind of a policy, so that they can find out their ways. And that's how they also play a very crucial role as an external players. And then private business, parents, communities, they are outside the, purview of the school community, but they have got a very vital role to play. Even the training providers, education material providers. In some of the case, when you will join in the work, you will see every year we distribute almost 35 crore free books to our students. And to print those is really a big challenge, printing of those, that kind of a number of a book. But I do not know anywhere in the world whether it is given just free books to all the students from grade 1 to grade 10. And we do it everywhere in the first of January. We ensure that all students have the new book in their hand. And that kind of a that has got a good thing. And again, there is a big competition among the publishers who will take that big business in it. So they also play a crucial role when government take a policy. If suddenly government says that we are stopping giving free books, that will have a larger impact on those business people, because they have established big establishment to print those books, and then they will just try to find out how it will. Maybe they will then again work as an influential factor and pushing like taking the words from international commitment and all these, that government is committed to ensure free education for all. Education for all, and why government is not ensuring free books for all. So everyone has got their own lens to use, but those external player plays a very crucial role. Even the local authorities, as I discussed with you, in our country, though I already shared it with you, but in many countries, the local authority, local education authority plays a very vital role. And the school boards, you see, as you are aware, in our country there are almost 11 school board, and in those school boards they just control the examination process and many other things. So dealing with those things is also a very crucial thing. And school providers as well as government agencies, they're the external factors who plays a very crucial role over there. So if we can just remember this, and if we can just try to understand their many different roles, that will make us very clear how the stakeholders engagement actually plays a vital role. I've just shared with you some literature based on what is available in the literature. So the effective stakeholders engagement involves building relationship or trust with the key stakeholders. It is about tailoring the communication to the needs and interests of the individual and the groups. It's about using a variety of methods to reach audiences. It's about surfaces and directly addressing our incoming hopes, concerns, and commitments. It's about enabling successful implementation of an organizational change and strategic plan. Having said those, we can just see another diagram that clearly delineates 5 critical involvement of stakeholder. How they can be very well engaged in the process of policy implementation. The first one is about informing. If the stakeholders are not well informed, the level of engagement in this form is very low, and the suitable only to engage those stakeholders with low urgency and influence, importance and interest. So this information, I mean, proper information of that particular policy or plays a crucial role here. And the next one is about consulting. I mean, stakeholder consultation, we discussed it earlier. This is a very ideal scenario, but in many countries, I mean, when the top-down approach is followed, when the government from the central level prepares policies and then trickle it down to the school level, in those cases, we can experience, we can see that there are some hiccups. And the main goal of this form of engagement is to elicit the views and interest as well as the salient information. When we consult with them, we can ultimately make a bridge between their understanding and the policy level information that we want to give. And that's why this consultation is very critical. And then involving is a very interesting and strong word. Sometimes we say we have informed you, but information is not enough. Involving people is going 2 steps forward. You have to engage or involve people in doing it, in reality, what that practice base mean through that policy. And that's why that involvement is really an intensive engagement. I mean, they need to be very intensively engaged where the stakeholders work together during the policy development process. So involvement of those stakeholders also plays a very crucial role. And the next part is the collaboration. And with the collaboration, stakeholders means stakeholders' advice and recommendation will be incorporated in the final decision to a maximum extent. And that's why, other than that collaboration, again, if it is not well discussed, well consulted among the stakeholders, that is again a big threat for successful implementation of any policy. And last but not the least is the empowerment of stakeholders, which means their final decision making actually in the hands of the public. We have to give them the feeling when they will feel that yes, we are really getting engaged in it, then they will own it. They will be engaged the early, the people or the public will own it. But in many cases, this is an ideal kind of a scenario. But in many cases, because of the different kind of administrative process that is prevailing in many different countries, that's why we may say many different things. And that's what you can discuss when you discussed in your group, taking example from various countries. I hope our Professor Tanha can help you out with this. Here I have just shared with you just a matrix, stakeholders matrix, just to understand the important people and the influential people. And you can see, Canon, another education researcher and a great policy level thinker, who has just shared it just to identify the stakeholders who are really important and who are really influential. That will ultimately help you to understand how those players are becoming important and why someone is not less important, and how we will interact among them in their differential process. In the x-axis, we can see the influential ones, and in the y-axis, we can just see the important ones. Just for an example, if we just see the in the y-axis, we have got at the top age. So it means H is at the top of it. It means it has got a higher value for the importance. It is he is important. H is important, but he is less influential because he is in the first column. It means if we just number it, I hope Tanha can explain it again for you, that it has got less influential impact on that. And if we go on for the A1, here again, you can see it has got the highest importance as well as influential, because it is at the topmost right corner, having the highest value from the x-axis as well as from y-axis. Just for this is just for your brainstorming. These are symbolic words I have used, but you can in those graphs you can use many different stakeholders' name, and then you can identify who is important and who are influential. And through influential, we can refer to the people with power over project success, such as those with financial resources, authority, and the ability to persuade key decision makers. As you can already, you can understand it, the ministry, the policy level, topmost policy level people, and the administrators who belongs to that particular group, because they take a policy decision as well as they allocate fund, and they ultimately provide projects for the success of any particular project, particular policy, as well as about the importance. That refers to individuals who have power over the achieving project outcomes, as well as including opinion leaders, experts, providers of essential resources, and those crucial in implementing project implementation.
Professor,
I'd like to-
can you take a
Yes.
question? I have one question on the graph, please. Matrix. Yes. If we consider A is the most influential and most important stakeholder, but during my stakeholder analysis, if I think that there is more than one person who is most influential, most important, so in that case, how do I put it in the matrix?
No worries. You can in that group you can just put A, Z, X, Y. Some others can be put over there. Then you can identify that these are the group who are most important and influential. So told you that this is just a symbolic thing. Just we have used it, but you have to identify. You now you know who are the stakeholders. So you just put it according to the merit of that. I have just given it as a matrix. I think when you will start working on it, you will find that in many a group there are more than one or two who falls under it. Okay.
Yes, questions.
Another student. So in the context of Bangladesh, for example, there was a policy of a new curriculum. So in that context, can you rank who was the most influential stakeholder and who was the least influential stakeholder?
I do not like to. I told you that this is a homework for you. I do not like to rate it today. I want that our students will rate it today. You will discuss on a particular policy, maybe a school policy, school health policy. As I am sharing it for you with a graph to do that. You do that exercise and then you go back to that matrix. In that matrix, they had a graph.
It's just that if we have a practical example of what happened in the real scenario, we could use it.
Otherwise, it's theory.
Sorry? Sorry?
I know you wanted a practical example from educational context. If you can provide, that would be helpful. Otherwise, Professor, I can provide as well. Later in the discussion.
You just provide it later, but don't provide it earlier before they work on this particular table. Here you see, I have given them homework, name of the stakeholder, they will write it. Then they will identify why they are important. Let them identify with some points. And then they, in the next column, they will just say, how much does the project impact them? Low, medium, high, or how much the policy impact on those particular guy or that group of people. And then how influential and how much influence do they have over the project, or how do they influence on the policy implementation, and how could the stakeholder block the project, and how they can do it, and strategy for engaging the stakeholders if they are not if they are a big threat for the policy implementation. How do you think that they can be engaged? Let's brainstorm it. I think that will help us to identify actually the program includes the initiatives such as healthy, just think about a school health program, which has got initiative like mental health well-being, improving the physical condition of the students, like or also healthy school meals, regular physical activity, mental health support, health education, and access to medical services. Maybe these are the areas that covers under that policy. Based on that, I will request the class to do some brainstorm work on this. And Tanha, I request you to facilitate that particular session.
Yes, sure. Professor, one more question.
Yep.
Professor, I just want to ask that are the influential stakeholders always external stakeholders as they are not involved in implementation process?
Very interesting. Very interesting. Especially uh, from the external side, actually, the most influential stakeholders come from, because they provide money, they provide policies, they give the rules how it will, or they provide projects how it will be implemented. But you just cannot say that even the internal ones, like the teachers, like the students, do not play a influencing role. In some cases, just think about, in some cases, if the students, they just uh, come back and respond that no, it's not working well for us, and if they just can justify it in an ideal kind of a scenario, especially in a country like, maybe it's not available in our country, because our country, you see, in the secondary level or the institution, if we just count, we have got more than 2 lakhs institution, which outnumbers many a country's population. So maybe it's not visible, but in a country like Finland, where definitely students have got a voice, and at least when they are for the grown-up students, they have got a voice, and in each and every cases, their voice has been taken care of to influence or to revise any kind of a policy. So it depends based on the context to context. Maybe it's not very prevalent in our country, but definitely it may be prevalent in other countries where that kind of a scenario is available, where the number is very small. Even the teachers have got our teachers, we are not preparing them as the teachers in Finland or any other first world country. They are prepared. Even in South Korea, how they are prepared, they groom up to be a teacher when they come up to this job. But in our country, you will see other way around. Normally, people do not dream of to become a teacher. So the context plays a vital role here, and it's a big discussion. If you find that someone even from the internal group is playing a crucial role, just put it over there and then explain why they are important. Why do you think that they are important, and which context do you think that their importance is so valuable? That will be really interesting discussion. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to conclude just by sharing with you some points why stakeholders engagement is important. This is collected from a different literature base. But this is not all exhaustive. I'm sure when you will work, you will find some new issues may come up. So let's start. The stakeholders are recipient of policy, as well as logical consequence. Their engagement is imperative. Karan, as we are saying, that it is impacting their life, it is impacting their way of work that they are doing. That's why being a recipient, their engagement is very highly important. The next one is that the improvement of the lives of stakeholders determines success and failure of public policy. In many cases, you will see. I do not know. There are many other factors in between. In our country, many a times people say why we are not giving enough socioeconomic status and support to the teachers, and that's why the teachers are not that motivated. But sometimes I do question myself: is that all? That if we just give them, if we get the money, necessary kind of money, and we will be motivated? Maybe some other factors are involved in it, which needs further research in it. Stakeholders can utilize many ways to influence policies. They could be lobby, call of the conference, support or advocate for non-support of the policy, as well as rally. As I have given one example, that Froebel Academy's conference. So that sort of a thing also brings people from different part. I mean, the influential part and the important part, as well as the stakeholders who are directly involved in it, and the stakeholders who has got a direct impact on it or who are impacted by it. They can come to consensus and consulting process, and they can just discuss about either revision of it or how best it can be implemented. That's why this is how they play a very crucial role in the engagement process. And stakeholder engagement also identifies areas of agreement as well as disagreement, and provides an opportunity to understand more fully what might be driving key stakeholder differences. They help articulate reference values of the broader community that is affected. Here again, we can see how the community plays a crucial role, and involvement of that community plays a vital role here. Alignment of that practice recommendation with societal need and expectation is again very important. When we are introducing this new kind of a curriculum, we also try to justify that this is essential. Why it is essential? Because we want to groom up our future generation as a citizen who will be ready to say, yes, I can, or I can do it, or I am the solution. Because we want our future generation to be creative and innovative. That's the need of the society, because with the advancement of the technology, we want our students not to be a rote learner, rote memorize, who will just memorize and vomit in the script. But we want, with a changed kind of a scenario, we want them to be creative, innovative, so that they can identify solution for their problem. And we also think about this engagement process, execute the implementation of the guidelines as intended quite naturally, and their engagement also prompts transparency. Another important thing I just shared with you while we discussed on the policy cycle process, that clear description of the policy and transparency is also very vital. If there is a gap between the central level and the policy implementers as well as the policy makers, then we may find a problem for the successful implementation of a policy. That's why their engagement, this sort of engagement, is very important. And that engagement also increases the quality and trustworthiness of the policy. These are some of the areas that I have shared with you, but I'm sure the reading material that you have gone through, or some other reading material, as well as our Tanha Mem's discussion, will guide you to look into more options for that. Not only hard discussion, I will request each and everyone to think critically as a practitioner of policy implementation, because this is not a rocket science. We now know the players who are playing from different corners. Maybe there are some other names we have forgotten. You just try to even involve them. Then that will ultimately help us to know why that stakeholders and involvement is so critical. So I would like to conclude with a wish that you will have a very good discussion on what is the importance of stakeholders engagement, what are some of the barriers and the weaknesses. Even that particular area will help you to identify who are the influencer and who are the important key players in this process, in stakeholders engagement process, and what will happen if stakeholders fully participate in education policy implementation. And another unseen question is that what will happen if they do not fully participate in the education policy implementation. So with these words, I would like to stop here, wishing a very good discussion on your part. Santa and the students, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I think two students have questions. If we can have them right now.
Yes, one or two max. I will have to join another meeting at 3.
Yeah, sure.
Professor, I understand that the matrix that we saw, it's some sort of a tool to do stakeholder analysis.
Yeah.
Important. Can we do like take the example of a case study or something that helps us
You can
understand?
very well take those example, and that's why I have shared with you those reading materials. You will find there are many countries policy implementation case studies are given there. You can just take one. I will suggest that you make 2 or 3 groups, and then one group can do one case study, another group can do another case study, and that's how we can enrich each other, and we can have a very rich discussion.
Any more questions? No. Professor, thank you so much. We will discuss the questions that you have shared with us and more.
No worries. You are most welcome. Enjoy your discussion. So I'm taking my leave. Okay.
Bye.
Next class.
Eid Mubarak.